Hello, Rising Mastermind Sisters. How are you today? I am so psyched because we are going to talk about live events in this call, and I'm just pulling up the PDF for you. The PDF is pretty self-explanatory, but I love doing these videos to accompany them just because I can add in my own stories and experiences while I'm giving you kind of that coaching and that guidance and the outline through the PDF. So this will be a quicker training because this PDF is one that I created so that you could kind of take it, keep it with you, check the things off as you accomplish them in a way that felt really good to you. But let's dive into it. Let me share my screen so that you can see it. Okay, amazing. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, great. So live events. I know that many people in this space are really interested in hosting their own live events, whether it is directly business related or whether it's just like getting people together to connect on whatever it is you want to connect on. There are some things to think about and there are things to take into consideration. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of guidance on the logistics side of things as well as the energy side of things so that whatever type of live event you want to create, you get to do it in a way that aligns with who you truly are. So let's dive in. I'm going to scroll on down for you here. Okay. The very first thing that you want to make sure to tap into for your live event is the vision for it. So there's nothing quite like hosting, running, and bringing to the world a live event. It's the craziest thing to have this thought of bringing people together into a space where there's going to be some sort of guidance and leading, probably on your part, maybe including other people's, and then some sort of audience in terms of maybe it's an audience that is directly facing a stage, or maybe it's more of a workshop style, but whatever it is, in terms of the exchange of a live event, there are people that are choosing to purchase or receive a ticket to go to something to learn. And it's really exciting because likely when you're creating a live event, you're teaching something that's directly from your soul, directly from your own experiences in your way that you have maneuvered through enough that you can then teach other people with confidence, with professionalism, and with a sense of, I've been there and I get to guide you. So, but before we can welcome in the physical manifestation of the event itself, we need to have a vision for it. Likely this has already started for you. If you're thinking about hosting a live event, these thoughts have already popped in, but I wanted to give you some questions here to ask you specifically to clarify that vision. That will help you in terms of marketing. It will help you in terms of production, decisions that you'll make to put it on when you have clarity and vision. So what is your dream? What's the point of the live event? That's a really important question. Some people want to host a live event because it feels really fun and life-giving and oh, it's going to be exciting, but like, what's the point? What are you actually doing it for? What are people going to walk away with having attended the event? Who is your audience? Why do they need to get into that room? Right? So we're thinking about selling tickets. What are they struggling with that your event will answer for them? And what will they feel walking into the venue? That's huge. So what's the before? What will they feel at the end of the event? What's the after? Knowing who they are and where they are now, as well as where they really want to go, and you being able to be that bridge to help them get there. Hugely, hugely powerful and transformative. That's what they're looking for. And you get to deliver that to them by way of a live event. What's the main message that you want to share? Why does this message mean so much to you? It's got to mean the world to you, because if it doesn't mean anything to you, I mean, I could put on a live event about socks if I want to, but like I have no direct connection and passion for talking about socks. So could I do it? Yeah. Is it going to fall flat? Likely, because I don't have like a deep moving in my soul to talk and teach and guide and love about socks. So, how do you want to feel in the process of creating the event? Because there's a lot that goes into it. Do you want to feel like, I gotta create this event, oh my gosh, or like, oh, okay, I get to create this event, what do I want it to look like, right? Like there's a difference in energy there. And getting specific on that so that in the times where you are maybe feeling stressed, maybe you're feeling a host of different negative thoughts coming in, you can push back on those and say, no, I chose to feel this way. while creating the event? How do you want to feel during the event while you're actually on stage or hosting or facilitating? And how do you want to feel after the event? So it's important to keep in mind what you want to give to the audience, but it's also important to keep in mind what you want to really give and do for yourself. Huge, in fact. Logistics of the vision. Here are some fun things to think about in terms of the foundation building of the event. Remember that every element gets to support the vision for what you truly want the event to do or be or welcome others into feeling. So all like the stuff that gets like really fun, like how do you want the room to look? Like is there going to be this sort of decoration, or is this type of music going to be playing? All of that is done so that you can really coerce the energy of what you want to feel, the vision that you have for the event to come out in a way that is tangible and fun and palpable. So what style venue do you want to have it in? Right? Do you want to have it in a yoga studio? Do you want to have it in a classroom? Do you want to have it in a place where, bands do performances, so there's more of a stage? Do you want to do it in a huge room that is going to call for massive amount of tickets being sold? Do you want to do it in your living room? Right? So many different things. So what style venue do you want to have it in? What is going to be the foundational and actual structural container that you will give the transformative energy that you're going to give? How many people is this for? How long will the event be in terms of hours or days? Will people be moving throughout the day? If so, you need to keep in mind what the chair settings look like. Is there a stage? Are you meant to be kind of performing, so to speak, or putting on a show, or having the attention being focused up here so that they can have their own experience in their seat, but they are receiving information? Are there tables for workshopping? Will you have other speakers or presenters? Right? That's huge, because there are some events where like this is straight from you and you really want to get that connection with people and have the attention be focused between you and them. There are some events where you want to call in soul sisters and brothers who can not only see your vision, but they can live it and feel into it and produce their own version of what it means for them through their own stories and their own messages on the stage. Kind of support system for the overall structure of what you're trying to emit. What do you need for technology? Do you need video? Do you need audio? And how do the senses need to be supported during the event? This is huge. What sights, sounds, smells, taste, and touch senses need to be covered, right? Like if you're going to be, I remember my first True You Live experience. I got these twigs. It was held in the fall. So I got these twigs that were covered in cinnamon. So the entire time people were actually smelling that warmth, that kind of, they had that affiliation with the crispness of fall outside, but they felt really cozy and comforted inside. It was really beautiful. People thought that I was, burning incense or essential oils, and I wasn't. It was literally from the twigs that acted as decoration, but it really provided another sensory experience for people to feel supported and comforted during the event, which was huge. What are people going to be eating? What are they going to be seeing? Do you have video up there, or is that going to be distracting? All these things you get to think about because they get to support the overall vision. So here's an aligned to-do list, and I'm going to go through these. What I tried to do with this was to kind of do it in order based on what works in my brain. But again, with this type of training and this type of list and this type of event that you get to put in, you get to infuse your stuff in here. So this may be completely out of order for you. This is what worked for me. And so some of you may say, I've never done an event before. I'm going to try to follow this list because I know that this has worked for Jillian and perhaps can work for me. It's just going to be, for me, it made sense to write it out this way. And then you get to play around with it in a way that feels good for you. So energetically declare what you want for the event. What is it that you want? Are you going to serve in a certain way? Are you going to sell from stage? Are you going to hold space in a certain capacity for? What do you want, for this event? Not what should be done, not what have you seen others do? What do you want for this event? Declare it. Secure the dates and location, and also consider what else is happening in that area around that time, right? Like you don't want to be competing with maybe a similar event or a more well-known event that is going to draw the same population. So you don't want people to have to split their energy and choose between your event and another event. Try to hold it at a time where you get to be the main focus. Map out a timeline from now to the event itself. That's really important. Like, how many months are you giving yourself? How many weeks are you giving yourself? And what are the things that you have to do between now and then? And for you, what order really makes sense and feels good? Just knowing how long you have for marketing purposes, ticket launches, speaker requirements, sponsorship programs, swag purchasing, accommodation setup, all those things, like, you got to know what you're working with in terms of time spaciousness. Invite speakers if applicable. I like to do that earlier on in the game. I like to energetically tap in, ask who will best support me and my vision so that we can all support the audience. I like to do that earlier in the game so that the people have the opportunity, my speakers have the opportunity to be a part of the whole creation of the event. That gets them more in alignment and more in tune and really more invested in the event itself. Also gives them time to purchase their plane tickets if necessary and make their own travel accommodations. And people are busy. So even if, it's an honor to be asked to speak at an event, but they need time to plan for their own family purposes, their own travel purposes. Maybe they have a vacation that they were thinking about going on at that time. You never know. So ask early. Feel into and establish the ticket prices. This gets to be a really sacred opportunity for you. You can get so caught up in this, like, ooh, what should I charge, right? Like that initial feeling of like, what's going to get people in seats and what's going to make me maybe a little bit of money and yada, yada, yada. Don't go there. Just what feels good, what feels expansive and congruent with the energy of the event, what feels supportive of the audience, and values what you're offering, right? If you are offering the type of event that is at a $500 level and you're charging $29 a ticket, the energy is going to be split, the value is going to be off, and the exchange is going to go wonky in some way, shape, or form. So value what you're putting out there. And also, if you're putting on an event that the value is a $49 event and trying to charge $350 for it, the energy is going to be off there too. So feel into it, get real with yourself, have fun with the fact that you don't have to create an event that is low point or high point to impress some sort of ticket algorithm. No, what is your event and what ticket prices are going to best support that event? Because you can always do different events with different ticket prices. What's this one about? How many tiers will you have? Will you have a general tier and a VIP tier? Maybe you just want to keep it easy and have, a one price for everybody. If it's more of a workshop style, I would say one price is usually really good. If it's more of like presentation style where there's a stage and there's kind of a little bit of performance and a little bit more maybe theatrics, you could give different, in terms of like seating, you could have VIP seating, these VIP people get more value in some way and then they get to sit up front. All sorts of different things to think about. Are there early bird prices that you'll get to promote that will get people excited about it and then immediately get people in the door because people love getting things early and getting a discount for it? Are there going to be promotional deals throughout the marketing experience? Will you have a friends, family, and special groups rate? I have one of those where, I have, no matter what the ticket prices are, I have created a code for myself that I can give to people and say, hey, use my special groups code or use my friends and family code. That makes people feel really good. And it also is a way for you to give a nod to the people in your life that it's like, hey, I want you there. And I know that our relationship goes deeper. I want to honor you with this code. That feels fun. And also, like, are you a part of groups that you can give some sort of value? And because you're a part of that group, you feel a connection to that group, you can give them a little gift and say, hey, I love being a part of this special group. I'd love to give you a discount on my live events. I have personally been doing a lot of speaking and teaching and training in the groups of my peers and my friends in the personal development space. And at the end of that, so I add value to their group. And at the end, I say, hey, I host True You Live, and I'm so grateful and honored to have given you this training. I'd also like to give you a special discount to come to True You Live. So take this special groups discount that will give you a percentage off ticket sales. It's just an abundant way to give gifts, really. And I really like that. And then also, right, so my mastermind gets a free ticket. Where are you a part of things where you're already in a great exchange with people that you can maybe sweeten the deal or just add even more value to an offer that you're already putting out there? So many different ways to get people in the door. Can tickets be purchased at the door? For True You Live, tickets cannot be purchased at the door. But there are some events that absolutely people can purchase tickets at the door. Maybe they're a little bit more expensive or whatever it is, but that's something that you want to consider. In terms of the logistics of my event, that would be a lot to have to like register people and to, have the money exchange and all of that. So I choose not to have tickets being purchased at the door. If you're coming to the event, I want you to have your ticket in advance and you can plan on it. And then is there a cart closing for when tickets are done being on sale? I like this in terms of live event offerings. I like having groups that are pretty wide open, so there doesn't have to be a launch. Like I like having something that people can join at any time, but also I like the feeling of cart open, cart close for a live event. The psychology of people is that many people wait to the last moment. And so we have to incentivize people. We have to give them that excitement of like, you guys, cart's closing in 3 days. Like you got to get your ticket now. It really amps up the excitement of the process. Some people will utilize the don't miss out and don't have FOMO. And I there may be a time and a place for that if it feels in alignment with you, but I don't like functioning from the scarcity mindset in terms of like, you got to get this now or the cart's going to close. But many people respond to that. Many people respond to that like, eek, I don't want to miss out, so I got to get this now. I like just spinning it in my own energy and saying like, here's your opportunity. Grab this while it's available. Whatever it is that floats your boat and gets your ticket sold, go for it. But that's just a couple little mindset hacks on how to get it out there. Okay, next thing. Hang on. Create an electronic sales page, if applicable. Try to have your sales page capture the vibrancy and the energy of the event so people know in advance what to expect. Hook up a payment system to the page and to your email. So you'll want to have the page set up on your website, if applicable, and you want to have your payment system up so that people can click a button on the page, make the payment, and then I think it's good practice to also have your email set up so that as soon as a payment goes through, they get an email with all they need to know in terms of save the dates. And maybe there's a ticket that you actually give them, or maybe it's the, hey, like, what I do in my email that goes out, so if somebody purchases a True You Live ticket, they automatically get an email that invites them into a Facebook group that is closed that I have for my True You Live attendees so that I can already start to begin communicating with them in that group. The email is their first invitation into the group. So it gives them a little bit of a rundown of what they'll expect for the weekend and gives them support in terms of the group that they'll get to be a part of leading up to the event. And that's where I also give a lot of updates. That's how I do it. And there's the social media group for the event goers. This may be applicable for you. It may not be. I like having it. I like being able to interact leading up to the event. And I also like, I'm coming up on my second True You Live now. And so I'm using the same group. So there are people in the group that went last year, as they see me talk about it, if they haven't purchased their ticket for this year already, as they see me continue to talk about it and celebrate people that are joining and coming, they feel that remembrance of like, oh yeah, that was really awesome. I want to get my ticket and come again. It's just community. It's just loving. It's just a sacred container to really support people in. And I like that feeling of family that gets to happen in there. Okay, financial budgeting, tracking, and payments. For your first live event, you may have no idea what type of budget you need. so it's really important to track. I know going into my second year, generally how much I'm going to spend on this event based on what I spent last year, what worked for me, what didn't. Where did I not spend as much last year that I really need to pick it up this year? Where did I overspend last year that can be cut out for this year? And then what feels good for you in terms of payments, because a lot tends to crop up as you get closer and closer to the events, particularly if you are paying for hotel rooms for your speakers, if you're paying for food for your speakers. A lot tends to happen right around the event. So I like to pay off, if possible, budgetarily, financially, all the things. Other things that don't have to be paid off right at the end, to just spread out the budget and spread out the finances a little bit. So I pay for the entirety of my venue far in advance. I paid for my photographer this year already for my True Live 2019 event, because it just will spread out the lump sum that will happen at the end. Sponsors is another thing that you want to think about. Do you want to have sponsors that will support you financially? There are companies and people that if you present your vision to them, they will give you money to help you put on the event. They get to be really, proclaimed at the event. They get to be really celebrated, particularly those that are giving money to the event. Like, they need to be really shouted from the rooftops. But then you have other sponsors that may donate swag or gear or a little gift, or will offer your audience a discount to their services. All these different things to really increase the value for the audience is huge. And if they can take some of the cost off of you, that's awesome. Swag. Will you have swag for your event? Will you have shirts and pens and whatever else? That's something to take into consideration, because you'll have to purchase it. I utilized 4 imprint, the number 4 imprint, for all my swag last year. They were great. There are a number of different local and national vendors that you can go through, that you can cost compare, and just have fun with that. Swag's cool. So, and to that point, you'll want to have a page set up or a payment system in place for the event itself, so that when people purchase the swag, you can accept their money and give them the swag. Hotel and other accommodations. Do you need a hotel room? Are you going to cover hotel rooms for your speakers? Are you going to try to block a bunch of rooms to give your guests a discount? Let me give you, based on experience, a little bit of support and encouragement. If you're going to do that, ensure that this is not going to come at a financial risk for you. Last year, I was doing something really nice, and I blocked off 10 rooms at a hotel that's like right across the street from my True Live venue. And while that was great, I needed to fill 80% of the rooms for the entirety of that weekend with people, or I was going to have to cover it. And usually you have to have people book at least a month in advance. And some people want to wait to the last minute to get their accommodations. So that gave me so much stress, because it came down to like the last couple of days where I almost had to pay for rooms that people wouldn't be a part of. There are plenty of other things to pay for at events. Wasting money is just not fun. And the stress of that was awful. There are other things I wanted to be thinking about and other things I wanted to be doing. This year, what I did was I did block off rooms. I was certain that I was going to utilize some of those rooms at the discounted rate for some of my or all of my speakers. There are still some rooms that I have to ensure that other people are going to utilize. So I've reached out to people that I know are traveling, that I know would love the discount, and said to them, here are the requirements. I will give you this code, but you need to book for Friday and Saturday. And you need to do it by X date, or I'm giving the code to somebody else. Because I need to ensure that the rooms get booked and I don't get fried for doing it. So, little word to the wise, something that I learned. And that was interesting to navigate. Investing in experts. This is super important for events for a couple different reasons. It establishes credibility, and it gives you the opportunity to potentially utilize goods that you'll receive and services that you'll receive for future promotion, or to establish your expertise in the areas going forward. So photographers, videographers, duh, right? Like, not all events need them, but having the photographs from an expert of the event has helped me to celebrate the event. I've utilized them in all social media aspects. And I also am utilizing the photos from last year's event to promote this year's event. Same thing with the videography that was done last year. There were testimonials that were grabbed on video so people can actually watch. And then my videographer was amazing, and he captured the event itself, but also some clips of what was said during the event. And he put together this beautiful montage of what True You Live was and will get to be for this year. I get to utilize that in marketing, establishing my expertise, establishing this event as the event that you want to be at. Just huge. It's powerful and it's helpful. You also may want to invest in a speaking coach. I mean, some people are naturals on stage, some people are not. Even if you're a natural, there is something that you can always learn and get better at. So something for you to think about. Support staff and volunteers. Who do you trust with certain areas of the behind the scenes stuff? I asked family, I asked my very best friends, and I asked some people that I just really trust who had my back. I didn't personally pay my volunteers for last year, nor will I for this year. I did give them free swag. I did cover meals for them, and just like shouted them out wherever I could in gratitude for them and their services. But you want to make sure that you find the people that can be committed to you, your vision, and supporting your audience. Something that these people might do: set up and breakdown, sales of swag, supporting of you directly, someone to be in charge of your social media during the event, because you will not be doing that. You think you'll have time? You won't. Music, someone to cover the music. You can pay somebody, or get a really great playlist together and give somebody very clear direction on what to play and when. I mean, there's endless things that you can utilize support for. So just think about that. Food for yourself, staff, speakers, and attendees. Are you going to cover food for the attendees? Are you going to cover food for your speakers, your staff? Is this all built into everything? Are people on their own? Just something for you to think about. And make sure for yourself, you are giving yourself the capacity to get in nourishing, amazing, wonderful food, because you need that for sustenance for your event. Are you going to have a brochure? Do you need to put your sponsors in the brochure? Do you need to put an about me, about your speakers in the brochure? Do you have something that you want to teach while you're there that people can have a visual of in your brochure? Again, things to think about. Is there going to be a pre-event reception? Is there going to be a post-event reception? Where is that going to take place? What is that going to look like? Are you paying for it? Different things to think about. Outfits, shoes, jewelry. What's the feel? What are you going to do? What are you going to wear? What are you going to require your speakers to wear? Is this a laid back thing where you can show up in yoga pants? Is this something that you really need to be dressed to the nines? Do you need to hire, as part of investing in experts, makeup or hair support? That gets to be really fun. I love doing that. That's just a fun part of it all. Decor for the space. And then I would map out the flow of the day. What is the flow that people are going through? Who is speaking when? What are they speaking about? Where will that lead? That will give everybody a sense of like what to count on. The song list. Ooh, that's a fun one. Do your speakers have a song that they like to walk into? Do they have a song that they like to walk out to? What song is going to be supportive at what time during the event? Are you going to be going through a really deep, intimate moment that you need like a song afterwards to kind of like support them, and then another song to pump them up afterwards? Like, be mindful of the energy of what's going to be going on during the day and have music to support that. It's huge. There's nothing worse than like when the song is just off, and you guys have felt that before, but like, you know, if you're coming out of a deep meditation that's super emotional and blasting like anything uplifting, not the time, right? Eventually, like, you'll get back there, you'll rise back out of that, but doing so in a way that's supportive is super, super important. Pre-event self-care. water, sleep, meditation, oils. Maybe you go somewhere, having people around you that are going to uplift you and support you. This is really, really, really crucial. And people think that they can just like skate on through this part and then expect to show up at their best. You got to take care of yourself leading up to the event. Transportation of event stuff. Who's bringing the stuff? All of the stuff. Who's leaving with it? Do you need to hire people to do this? Is this going to be part of your volunteers' responsibilities? All of these things we got to think about. Who's setting up and who's breaking down? Is there a cost to that at the event? Do you have to be out at a specific time? So while you're doing this over here, people need to be breaking out because the venue needs you out. Day of social media person, I just talked about that. I had a dear friend doing mine, and it was great because she captured me on the stage, but then she also captured, and this has to be someone that you trust. She captured other things that were going on that I just didn't see because I was doing my own thing. Day of go-to person. I had a person that I could look at and say, I need this right now, and like ask for what you need to that person, and they were on it. Change this, change that. I need this. I need water right now. Like, hey, can you move this? Like, there needs to be a designated person that's just going to take care of you. Day of nourishment. We talked about that in terms of the prep, but like, you got to have food that's going to sustain you. You've got to have water. You've got to have supportive music. You've got to have whatever it is to help you be centered and aligned and feeling at your very best available to you at the event. Day of prep and alignment needs, those all go hand in hand. If you're selling from stage, what are you selling? Are you feeling good about it? Is it feeling in alignment with you? Do you feel positive standing up on stage and selling? What prep work do you need to do beforehand to get yourself in alignment to do that? What benefits will the audience receive by joining or buying whatever it is you're selling from stage? Sales team, website, discounts for event goers, info for future programs, that all needs to be taken into consideration when you're thinking about what and how you'll be selling from stage. And then post-event life reintegration. This is huge. Give yourself time and space to re-nourish, get back into connection. There is a high like no other that happens at an event, and then as the event is coming to a culmination, and subsequently there needs to be time and care and spaciousness for you to come back into your body and reintegrate into your life, into motherhood, into work, into whatever it is that is going on for you. And you need to give yourself care and really tenderness in doing all of this. Whew, this is a mouthful, but I thought this was going to be faster than it was, but I'm glad that we're able to like really dive into things here. All right, answering your soul's calling for your tribe. Remember, this event started out as a calling of your soul, meaning you were the person who was meant to create, deliver, and deliver it, yes, for purposes of your journey, but also because it's the thing that they, your audience, your tribe, they really need. You're doing this because you see value of it and you know that there are people out there that really need this. So be tapped in throughout the event to what's happening in the room. I will tell you, at my first True Live experience, I got to know my audience in a way that I have never seen them before. I assumed that my general audience was more of a certain set of characteristics. And what I learned from being in that space and tapping into the energy was that actually they had a different set of characteristics, generally speaking. That gave me the ability to kind of pivot at the event itself and speak more clearly to what they needed. Not what I thought that they needed, but what they actually needed. And it also gave me more clarity about how to speak and show up and support my tribe in general outside of the live event too. Super powerful. You want to get to know your tribe, host a live event. It's the best way to get to know who they really are and what they really need. So who is your audience really? What is their body language like as you're saying certain things? When are they open? When do they get closed and scared and unsure? Are they engaged with you as a speaker? Is there a speaker that you've called on stage that they're not engaged with? What feedback does that give you? There at True Life, my first year, somebody asked the question toward the end of the event, like, how do you get spousal support in doing the deep work? Something to that event. Everyone sat up straighter at the event after that question was asked. And I was like, oh, we need to talk about this a little bit more. And so that gave me clarity going into this year to really speak specifically to that, because that is of top level interest to the people that are going to be in my room. It's really important to know these things. What topics pique their interest the very most? What do you need to do to best support them? Make them move, invite them into quietness within themselves, invite them out of their shell when they need to get out of themselves. What's going to help them get out of their head and like be present and participatory in the event? Lead them through your own experience and ideas, but be willing to pivot based on what their needs are. Go into the event thinking that you know how to serve them and serve to your very best capacity. And then when you get a glimpse that there's something else that needs to be said or done, do it. Showing up authentically as you will invite them to do the same for themselves during and after the event. It's huge. Be you. Don't try to be the person that you think they need you to be. They need you to be you. That will invite them into doing the same for themselves. And finally, most importantly, have fun. Have so much freaking fun doing this event. Do what feels good to you as opposed to doing the things just because you saw someone else doing them. Be open to receiving as much as you give. And remember that you were made to do this. Oh, it's so good. Thank you for being here. I'm glad that we got to go into the depth and the level of this, because this was really important stuff, and I know this will guide you in some way, shape, or form. So good luck, have fun, lean into the group. Let us know how we can support you in the creation of any live event that you've got going on, and just proud of you. Way to go. Way to go.